Hola todos! I've got 18 sentences in front of me, and in total they have 35 mistakes. Let's go through them and spot each mistake so you can learn from them. So, starting off with, en el foto son tres chicos que están comer. There's 3 mistakes in the sentence. Firstly, we should know it's en la foto, because this noun foto is feminine. So, en la foto. Then we've got son tres chicos. In English, we're trying to say there are 3 boys. In, for example, a photo description question, the speaking exam maybe. So, son is the mistake here. To say there are, we use the verb I. Son means they are, which in English is quite similar, they and there, but in Spanish they're very, very different words. So, there are 3 boys, hay tres chicos, que están comer, so that are eating. To say they are eating, it's 2 words. Están here is correct, but comer is incorrect. Comer is the mistake. It should be comiendo, ending in yendo because it's a present participle. So these words ending in ando or yendo sort of represent the ing ending in English. So they are eating, que están comiendo. Vale? Then, so that's 3 mistakes there out of 35 in total. The next sentence, mi hermano es más mejor a los videojuegos que mi padre. How many mistakes in here? So mi hermano is fine. Es más mejor. We never say más mejor because más mejor is like saying more, better. But in English, we can just say the word better, same in Spanish. So we can just, the mistake is basically más. We don't need the más. We can just have mejor. So mi hermano es mejor a los videojuegos. To say at video games, because the sentence is saying my brother is better at video games than my father, we have, we're going to use en instead of a here. So the mistake is a here is going to say en, almost saying in video games, but that's what we say in Spanish. So mi hermano es mejor en los videojuegos que mi padre. 2 more mistakes for 5 in total. Next sentence, me encanta mi casa ya que hermosa aunque es un poco viejo. Starting off, okay, so I love, me encanta. We can have a noun after this, so that's fine. Me encanta mi casa. Ya que means because. We're missing a verb here, so we want to say because it is pretty. And just like in English, we've got the word, if I do it in green, hermosa is pretty. We've got that word here. But the word because, we've got the word because as well. What we're missing is it is, which is s. So the mistake is the gap here, and we need to have s in the gap. So me encanta mi casa ya que es hermosa, aunque, we don't need a comma there, but we can have it. Aunque is also, good word there, aunque. Es un poco viejo, viejo means old, but because we're describing the noun is casa, it's feminine, it should be es un poco vieja. We can also use the word antigua as well, antigua. Both mean the same thing. Antigua might be a better option here, but they both mean the same thing. So me encanta mi casa ya que es hermosa aunque es un poco vieja. 2 mistakes there. Moving on. Mi novia ideal sería más bajo que yo. My ideal girlfriend would be, sería is the conditional tense, would be, so we're talking about the future here. Más bajo que yo. The only mistake here is bajo. We're describing novia, again a feminine noun. So más baja que yo, adjectives ending in O are masculine and ending in A are feminine. Next sentence, me gusta mucho la clima de este lugar. So me gusta mucho is perfectly fine. La clima is the mistake here. Clima is the word for weather. However, it's a masculine noun, even though it ends in A. There are some words that end in A and are not masculine. For example, it's el problema, the problem. Even though it ends in A, it's el, so this should be el clima. The la is the mistake there. De este lugar, of this place. So I like a lot, or I really like the weather of this place. It should be el clima, not la. Moving on, las matemáticas es más interesante que la geografía. So this is about school subjects here. So maths is plural and feminine. That means any adjectives we use to describe it must also be plural and feminine if possible. The adjective here, interesante, is the same if it's masculine or feminine, but for plural it needs to be interesantes. So that's the mistake. It's singular and not plural. Also, the verb we're going to use to describe maths, this means it is, but we want to say they are. Because we've got maths as a plural noun, It's like more than one thing in Spanish, so we have to say they are because it's plural. So that would be the word son. So las matemáticas son más interesantes que la geografía. And then the end of that sentence there is fine. Okay, that should be 11 mistakes if I got that correct. Next, me gustaría casarse con una muy guapo chica. Hopefully you can see, again, adjective agreement, the mistake where you've got the wrong ending of an adjective is called adjective. You may see it just adjective agreement. So this should be guapa. However, the mistake overall here, I'm going to count as one big mistake, is also word order. So con una chica, we have the noun comes first. So we've got the noun here and then the adjective. So con una chica muy guapa. That has to be the correct order there of that sentence there. So me gustaría casarse, I would like to get married, is reflexive here. Con una chica muy guapa instead of una muy guapo chica. So I'm going to cover all of that to say that's one mistake there. Okay, moving on. Una boda grande es no importante para mí. So we're trying to say a big wedding is not important for me. There are two mistakes I can see here. One of them being grande. That's just not a word. The adjective is grande. And just like interesante, it doesn't change for masculine or plural. Sorry, it changes for it doesn't change for masculine or feminine, it only changes for singular and plural. So we can have the S in there, but in this case the noun boda is singular, so grande would be correct, not granda, because granda is not a word. So we can cross out the A there and put an E. Una boda grande, big. Es no. The word order here, we always have no before the S, the negation goes first. So no es. Importante para mí means for me, and that is fine. Importante, the adjective here is fine because it's a singular sort of noun. So we can have importante instead of importantes. Me cae bien con mis padres porque es comprensivo. Let's work backwards. So comprensivo should be comprensivos because we're describing padres, which is more than one. Es, hopefully you can tell, it should be son because we're saying they are instead of it is or he is. Porque son comprensivos. The other mistake, which you may not spot, is with this word con. Me cae bien means I get on well with. However, we don't need the con, that word with, when we use this expression. When we use me llevo bien, which means the same thing and it might be more common, we need to have the word con, but with me cae bien, we don't use the word con. So just me cae bien mis padres porque son comprensivos. So 3 mistakes there. Next, ayer, yesterday, use mi móvil, descargo música. Let's say we're trying to say, so yesterday, I used my phone to download music. So there will be 2 mistakes in that case. Descargo should be the infinitive, and also there's a word here missing. So to say to use, we're going to replace it with in order to, and that word is para. The key word in the sentence is para. So ayer usé mi móvil para descargar as the infinitive. Música, that's it. So 2 mistakes there. Para is a really tricky word because students miss it out a lot in these sorts of sentences, but before the infinitive, we're going to often see that word para, okay? So 2 mistakes there. Moving on. Me prefiero usar el ordenador porque es útil y no aburrido. So mistakes here. Me prefiero, we don't say that. We say things like me gusta, we say me encanta, but prefiero is a standalone verb from the infinitive preferir. So we just have prefiero without that pronoun me at the front. So that is the mistake there, and we don't need the me. So capital P, prefiero usar el ordenador porque es útil, because it is useful, y no aburrido. For this to make sense, you need to have S here to repeat no es aburrido, because that no doesn't work on its own without the verb after it. So mistake there as well, no es aburrido. Moving on. Mañana voy a usar yo móvil hablar con mi familia por videollamada. Two mistakes here. So tomorrow I'm going to use my phone, mi móvil, instead of your móvil. Hablar, just like we saw earlier in this sentence with descargar música, we've got the infinitive here, hablar. We need the word para before it for it to make sense. So in English, we're saying, if I translate it word for word, tomorrow I go to use, or I'm going to use, my phone in order to speak. So to show purpose, we need that word para. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So with my family, through or by a phone call, video llamada is a phone call or like a video call. So two mistakes there. Okay, moving on, we're getting to the end of this video. There's a couple of sentences left. Mi móvil es no útil y mi tableta es mucho más práctico. So working backwards, this práctico should be práctica because we're describing the noun tableta. We have to look at the noun we're describing. Even though móvil is masculine, práctico or práctica, that adjective describes the noun before it, tableta, and tableta in Spanish is feminine, saying like the tablet, but it's a feminine noun. Es mucho más is a lot more practical, práctica. The other mistake is earlier here in word order. Es no, with negation we always have no in front, so no es is the other mistake there with the word order. Okay, next sentence. This is an interesting one. Tengo comprado algunos regalos por ti. There are two mistakes here. I'm going to give you a second to see if you can spot them. So, por should be para. When we talk about like destinations of people, so in this case, saying gifts for you, if something is for someone, to show the recipient, I should describe it as to show the recipient, we use para, not por. Even though para and por both mean for, we have to use para in this case, so para ti. Just like we've got para mí, it works the same way. Para mí, para ti, para él or ella, etc. Él being like him, ella being her, etc. The other mistake is at the start here. Tengo. What should this word be instead? In English, we're saying I have bought. The word bought is correct, but to say I have, we cannot use tengo. Tengo is only for possessions, only for items that we have. We don't have an object called bought. We have to use the verb haber, which is the other way of saying to have. Sorry, I should say to have. And the answer is going to be spelled H-E with the H is silent. He comprado algunos regalos para ti. Okay, this tense, if I highlight it in green for you quickly, this he comprado, that's blue, this he comprado tense is called the present perfect tense, the present perfect. Definitely look into it for GCSE students, okay? So, moving on, Pablo siempre pregunta sobre el profesor. So Pablo always asks for. In English, when we say asks for, asks for, that's the English word. They've used sobre in this text. Is that correct? No, the mistake is with sobre. We cannot say sobre. Sobre means about. I can see why they've tried to use this, because in English we can say asks about the professor or the teacher, but in Spanish we have to use the word por here. So Pablo siempre pregunta por el profesor. So, going in order, mi hermana encanta. We can't have encanta without the preposition or the pronoun before. Just so we've got me encanta, we can have le encanta, which means he or she likes. We can have nos encanta for we like, os encanta, les encanta. Any of these pronouns, mete, le, nos, os, les, before encanta or gusta. But we need to have one of those. So in this case, we're going to pick le because it's singular, a single person. My sister, singular. Mi hermana le encanta la música pop porque es rápido y bueno bailar. We're describing la música. Pop is adjective, and that's fine. It doesn't change for masculine or feminine. But música is the noun, so any adjectives like rápido y bueno have to change. So rápida y buena bailar. With this bailar, they're trying to say it is good. For dancing is roughly what is being said in English here. So, es buena To say this for, to communicate this word for, we're going to use para. Just like I said before, we're going to have para quite often before an infinitive. So para bailar, for dancing. Even though it's bailar as the infinitive AR, we can translate it as the ing in English. So for dancing is fine, and that's what it would be. So mi hermana le encanta la música pop porque es rápida, es fast, y buena para bailar. That leaves us with 3 more mistakes in these final 2 sentences. Descargué, I downloaded. Vinted, the application. Por vender ropa y gané, I earned 200, which is 200 euros. A really good sort of end of a sentence. If you want to learn for theme 3 to talk about sort of work and jobs and stuff like that for your GCSE. But the mistake in this sentence is going to be with por. We have to have para. Just like I've mentioned many times in this video, para is used before infinitive. So para vender means in order to sell. We're showing the purpose, we're going to use para. Okay? For purpose, why did we download Vinted? In order to sell clothes. That's the purpose of Vinted. Okay, that leaves us with 2 mistakes here before the end of this video, before we've covered all 35 mistakes, really common mistakes in these sentences. Me gusta que no hay muchos atascos en mi región. So the mistake there is the missing of the word en, which just came up to me naturally, because you can't miss words, right? When we say mi región, we're saying there are not many traffic jams, which is that word atascos. We need a word in between traffic jams and region and my region, and that's in my region. So en mi región is that mistake there. The final mistake, quite an important one, not important but tricky, is with I, with this verb. When we have me gusta que, when we've got this word que, we need to use the subjunctive, the present subjunctive. But with me gusta que, after the structure, me gusta que, we need to have the subjunctive. So no haya. Haya is that verb, there is or there are, but it's in the present subjunctive, and that's the one we have to use. So literally that letter A is the difference there between the incorrect verb and the correct verb. If I quickly show you with me gusta. So with me gusta, we can have me gusta followed by an infinitive or a noun, just like me encanta, etc. Those structures work fine, but once you've got that word que, once it becomes me gusta que, it's an opinion phrase followed by the word que, and just one of the rules for the subjunctive and the uses of the subjunctive is, in this case, we need to have the present subjunctive following me gusta que. And that's all 35 mistakes in these sentences. I hope you guys will make these mistakes in your own writing in the future, and if you do, you're able to spot them when you proofread. Vale, adios!